Larry Metz. Welcome, Representative Metz.
Thank you very much, Sheriff, for that instruction there. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a pleasure to be here today, and I want to thank the South Lake 912 Tea Party for hosting this event and for all of you to come here today and be a part of this. This is really America at its finest right here. Every 2 years we have elections and we pick our leaders, and those leaders then represent us, hopefully, and implement the agenda that they ran on. A little bit about myself, because I am somewhat new to this area in District 32, and I was elected last Friday without opposition, a week ago Friday that is, to House District 32. I currently serve as a representative in House District 25, which is pretty much the Golden Triangle in Lake County and a portion of Seminole County and Volusia County, and I've represented that for 2 years, and it's been a high honor to be in the Florida House representing District 25, and I am greatly gratified and humbled by the idea that I'm representing, starting in November, District 32, which includes all of South Lake County, and that representation has occurred because of the confidence folks had enough to not have an opponent run against me. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Now, I'm 57 years old. I'm a practicing attorney for the last 29 years, married to Mariko, and we live in Yalaha. We have 2 daughters who are 28 and 26. So we are empty nesters, and that gives me more time to put into public service. Before being elected in 2010, I was representing an area with South Lake County on the Lake County School Board for 6 years in District 1, and it was a pleasure to serve there as well. So I do have great familiarity with South Lake County from my time on the school board and having District 1, which is predominantly located in South Lake. In my first term, I have been honored to have been recognized for my conservative approach to issues. The American Conservative Union rated me 100% on their scorecard last year. The Florida Chamber of Commerce for my pro-business stand 2 years in a row gave me the Distinguished Advocate Award because I took on tough bills in the Florida House and pushed those to the floor and got them off the floor in some cases. In fact, this past session, I had 15 bills with my name associated with them, and I had 9 of those pass off the floor of the Florida House, and 4 of those made it all the way through the Senate as well. So as far as the priorities that I have for the next session, and I'm not sure what the time limit is when I'm going to be told, and I'll shorten it when I'm told to do that, but what I want to do now, since I don't have a campaign to go through, a campaign serves a very vital purpose, in my opinion, which is to get input from the constituents that you're going to represent, provide them with information about yourself, and then hear their input. And when you come out of the campaign, you have a pretty good feel for your district. So the fact that we didn't have an opponent doesn't mean I don't want to round in my district and get that input. So I'm going to be reaching out in the district over the next several months. I'm going to be relocating my district office to District 32, and then I'm going to be reaching out and rounding to get information from you. But the critical issues that I think are facing Florida right now remain, first of all, the economy, and I think the biggest problem and the biggest threat has already been touched on by our keynote speaker. Senator Hayes reinforced that, but it's not to be unmentioned in any speech that any of us give about the future of our country, and that is the public debt. It is critical. It is a hockey stick on a piece of paper when you see what the debt trend has been under the Obama administration. To have $5 trillion in new debt added in 3.5 years is just mind-boggling. And what we need to do is elect a new president this year. Mitt Romney needs to be elected president of the United States this year. That's not the only thing that has to happen. Obviously, recapturing the White House and having Republican conservative majorities in both chambers of Congress is vital. But after they get in, we have to hold their feet to the fire. I had the privilege of being at an event for Congressman Dan Webster on Thursday, and his remarks were right on the money. He said, Washington is dysfunctional, and he said what he's learned, and this is a gentleman who served as Speaker of the Florida House and Majority Leader of the Florida Senate. Now he's a one-term U.S. Congressman seeking re-election. But he said what he learned in that first term was that every dollar in the federal budget, both the dollars that are paid for with taxes that are collected and the dollars that are spent that are borrowed from places like China and elsewhere, there's a champion to keep that dollar of spending where it is. And he said, he gave us an example of a program he thought was frivolous, and they found it very difficult to cut even a frivolous program because there were advocates for keeping it. And he told us, even if we get the Republican president, Republican Congress, and Republican Senate, it's not going to be easy. And that's where we come in after the election is over to support those candidates that are willing to take the tough decisions that are necessary to cut the budget. And so that's one thing I really feel strongly about. And in the Florida House, we sent memorials to Congress this year, which is something that we vote on the floor, and it goes to the Congress as an official communication from the Florida House on behalf of the people that we represent. So it is an official product of the House. It's called a memorial. And we sent one, and we said, balance the budget. We need to balance our federal budget. We sent other memorials dealing with congressional term limits, which we need to have, because part of the problem is people get into Congress and they want to stay there forever, and their mindset becomes how do they get reelected rather than making tough decisions that might put them at risk. We expect the legislators, not career politicians. So those types of messages those in the Florida House. As far as back home now, our state budget of $70 billion, we balance it every year because we're told to balance it in our Constitution. And that's why we need a balanced budget amendment at the federal level. But in the Florida legislature, we had to cut almost $2 billion out this year, coming on the heels of cutting almost $4 billion out last year. And we did that by making tough decisions. And it is true that when you are cutting money, people are not going to be happy about that. But we can no longer worry about whether everyone's going to be happy with what we're doing or whether we're not going to offend somebody. We have to have a business sense about it. If we only have so much money, we have to live within that money. And that means making those decisions and taking the consequences. If that means you have to get reelected, at least you can hold your head high and say I did the right thing. So in Florida, the way we've done this is we've prioritized and we've cut government and we've cut regulations. Over the course of the last 13 years or so, since 1999, Florida's state employment has gone down from 128,000 employees down to 122,000 before the current budget that's about to take place. And we've cut 4,000 more positions out to make that budget balanced. So we're going to take it down to 118,000 employees in the state. Our ratio of state employees to people is the lowest in the country because we've had conservative government in Tallahassee since the 1998 election when Governor Bush was elected. That's what has to happen at the congressional level. And we've also reduced regulations, we streamlined bureaucracies and tried to eliminate some of those programs that are completely